For a long time, Canadians have been told a pretty simple story. If you can retire with $1 million, you're set. $1 million sounds safe, it sounds freeing, it sounds like you've done everything right. And to be clear, getting to $1 million isn't easy. It takes years of discipline, consistency, and sacrifice. Most Canadians never get there. But here's the part that surprises people. Retiring with $1 million in Canada doesn't automatically mean your retirement will feel comfortable or stress-free. In fact, for a lot of people, it creates a false sense of security. Not because they failed, not because they didn't save enough, but because what those $1 million actually have to do every year, year after year, for decades, is very different from what most people picture. And the risk isn't that the money suddenly disappears. The risk is slower than that. The plan starts to feel tighter, less flexible, or more restrictive. And that's when people start asking questions they never thought they'd have to ask. Can I really afford this trip? Am I taking too much out? What happens if taxes go up? What if I live longer than I planned? That's what I want to unpack today. Hi, I'm Stefano Francesca, certified financial planner professional and senior wealth advisor at Next Step Wealth Management with IPC Securities Corporation. If this topic resonates, feel free to like and subscribe. It helps more Canadians come across these conversations. Today, I want to walk through the reality of retiring with $1 million in Canada, what tends to be underestimated, where the real pressure points show up, and why success at this level depends much more on strategy than on the number itself. Part 1. Why $1 million feels bigger than it actually is. $1 million is a big number emotionally, but retirement doesn't run on emotions. It runs on after-tax income, consistency, longevity, and flexibility. And this is where the gap begins. That $1 million is almost never sitting in one account. It's usually spread across RRSPs or RRIFs, TFSAs, possibly non-registered investments, and sometimes a small pension or severance bridge. Once withdrawals start, each of those dollars behaves differently. Some withdrawals are fully taxable, some affect government benefits, some limit your options later. So when someone says, I have $1 million, what they often really mean is, I have $1 million before tax, before inflation, and before 25 or 30 years of withdrawals. That difference matters more than most people realize. Part 2. Retirement is an income problem, not a net worth problem. Before retirement, we think in lump sums. After retirement, life is paid for month by month. Housing, food, utilities, insurance, travel, healthcare, helping family. $1 million portfolio doesn't automatically turn into a comfortable, reliable income, especially once taxes are involved. This is where many retirees feel caught off guard. They expected the portfolio to feel generous. Instead, every withdrawal feels like a decision that matters. At this level, taxes matter every year, withdrawal order matters, small mistakes quietly add up. The plan might technically work, but the margin for error is thin. Part 3. Inflation slowly shrinks the $1 million dream. Inflation rarely feels like a problem at the start of retirement. Early on, everything feels manageable, but retirement isn't short. For many Canadians, it lasts 25 or even 30 years. Over time, everyday costs go up, fixed income loses purchasing power, and spending flexibility shrinks. Most retirees don't suddenly feel poor. They feel constrained. And once flexibility disappears, decisions start being driven by caution instead of confidence. And that's where retirement dreams shrink to fit the retirement you get rather than the one you wanted. Part 4. Taxes are often the biggest threat, not markets. For Canadians retiring with around $1 million, taxes are often a bigger long-term risk than market returns. Here's why. A large portion of that money usually sits inside RSPs, and RSP withdrawals are fully taxable. They increase reported income, they can push you into higher tax brackets, and can reduce income-tested benefits. CRA doesn't look at how hard you worked to save that money. They only look at taxable income. At this level, tax efficiency isn't a nice-to-have. It's essential. Part 5. Sequence and timing matter more when assets are limited. When portfolios are very large, mistakes are easier to absorb. With a $1 million portfolio, they're not. So timing matters. Taking too much too early, using the wrong accounts first, missing tax planning windows, none of these cause an immediate collapse, but they quietly reduce flexibility later on. Markets don't have to crash for retirement stress to show up. A few inefficient years can be enough to tip the scales away from your favor. Part 6. Lifestyle expectations are the silent variable. Here's another hard truth. Most Canadians underestimate how much lifestyle expectations shape retirement outcomes. Travel, helping adult children, new vehicles, renovations, healthcare costs. None of these are unreasonable. But with $1 million portfolio, trade-offs are unavoidable. The issue is spending without a plan. That's where stress creeps in. Part 7, why TFSAs matter more than people expect. At this level, TFSAs often make the difference between flexibility and frustration. They're not just tax-free growth vehicles, they're income control tools. Used properly, TFSAs can lower your taxable income in high tax years, provide a buffer during market downturns, cover one-time expenses cleanly, help preserve government benefits. When TFSAs are small or treated as an afterthought, options narrow quickly. At $1 million, structure matters as much as saving. Part 8, the psychological reality of a $1 million retirement. One of the least talked about challenges is psychological. When people believe $1 million means I'm safe, they often put off deeper planning, avoid harder conversations, and assume things will sort themselves out. Then reality sets in. The money isn't disappearing, but it doesn't feel abundant either. That gap creates stress, and stress leads to reactive decisions. Retirement planning isn't just about math. It's emotional as well. Part 9, where professional planning actually changes outcomes. Retiring with $1 million in Canada, of course, is absolutely workable, but it requires intentional tax planning, coordinated withdrawal strategies, realistic lifestyle alignment, and ongoing adjustments. What separates confident retirees from anxious ones at this level isn't discipline, it's coordination. When everything works together, the plan feels stable. When it doesn't, the numbers alone aren't enough. If there's one thing to take away, it's this. Retiring with $1 million in Canada is an accomplishment, but it doesn't mean you're operating in a range where decisions matter more than you might expect. Retirement rarely falls apart because of one big mistake. It slowly becomes harder because of taxes that weren't planned for, income decisions that compound over time, a lack of flexibility when life throws something unexpected your way. Just the quiet realization that retirement feels tighter than it should, even after doing everything right. That doesn't need to be your reality. With better coordination between your accounts, your tax strategy, and your lifestyle expectations, $1 million retirement can very much feel stable, intentional, and confident. But it doesn't happen automatically. It happens by design. If you're a Canadian retiree or within 5 to 10 years of retirement, and you're wondering whether your current plan truly supports the lifestyle you want, this is where a second set of professional eyes can help. If you want clarity on what your income really looks like after tax, whether your withdrawals are quietly working against you, how to protect flexibility as markets, taxes, and life change, and whether your investment process is designed to provide that sustainability you're looking for, you can use the link in the description to book a discovery meeting. That conversation isn't about products or performance. It's about gaining clarity and making sure you have a successful approach that supports your retirement instead of quietly limiting it. Let's take the next step.